Live on Facebook, live on Instagram.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Wednesday Wellness Minutes.
Thanks for joining us.
Ellie.
I'm back.
She's back. All right. So this week, we're going to talk about shielding. If you don't know what shielding is, we were trying to come up with a funny TikTok video where Ellie was going to try to block a ball coming at her, which is like a dart from someone, like an angry dart.
Yeah.
And she was going to, how's your shield going? She's going to miss and then going to hit her in the head.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We're working on the choreography. She's going to teach some dance moves and stuff like that. So anyway. But shielding, if you don't know what shielding is, we all have a shield, right? Every one of us. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care how perfect you are. There's no such thing as perfection, right?
Absolutely.
So perfection is, of course, one of the shields, but we'll get to that in a minute. But this is really based on the work by Artie Wu. There's a lot of really intelligent people out there who've done a lot of great work as far as this goes. Artie Wu is a guy who was kind of really dove into this area, which helps us understand, like, we're all hurting on some level, we're all trying to heal, okay? I think I would say 90%, if not more, of what brings people into the clinic is usually some type of stress, relationship somewhere along the way, and then it manifests into an organ or a tissue or something like an injury.
Right.
Okay? So, there's shielding and there's soothing. So some people do soothing with drugs and alcohol, some people do it with food, some people do it with sex and other things like that. So we all have shielding, we all have soothing. So it just depends on who you are. But remember, I'll mention this later, but your deepest wound is your greatest opportunity, your greatest gift for the world, okay? So some of these things that we want to relate to shielding is going to be related to self-negativity. Okay, there's 4 major areas. There's competence, like are we good at what we do?
Sure.
There's your body, like how do I see my body? How do I see myself compared to other people?
Okay.
There is identity. How do I fit in the world? Okay.
Yeah.
Who am I? Like in my family, with my friends. I used to be a chameleon myself. I used to be, who Ellie needed me to be, and who somebody else needed to be. And
sure.
I had a different hat for everybody. Like, put on my Ellie.
Oh, yeah.
Put on my Anissa hat. Put on my whatever hat.
Right.
So that's kind of identity. And then relationships is sort of intertwined with that, but that's going to be more like a core belief in I'm only lovable if I'm a certain person in this relationship, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, what's most important is the pain of an unhealed wound is really going to drive you to do unhealthy behaviors.
Right.
So we pick these up by watching people, we also pick them up by inheriting them. So every little bit's a little different, okay? So the first one is money and prestige, right? Food, anywhere in America, like money and prestige is what it's all about. You got the car, you got the house, you got the bling bling, you got to put the ring on it, you got the, whatever. Let's get that.
Yeah.
We'll get it done. Maybe next week we'll come and do live video dance moves.
Freestyle Fridays.
For sure.
But not this week.
Yeah, well, probably not this week. We got to move stuff out of Big Blue into our new space. We should be in there next week or the week after. We'll be in there the week after next, but we're super excited about that.
Yeah, it's looking great.
Yeah.
Back to our topic.
For sure. So, prestige and money, it's really, the whole premise behind this is it's hard to argue with success, okay? You look at someone like they're all dressed up to the nines, they got the blingy bling, they got the person on their arm that they think is the image that they want. So it's hard to argue with that success. It's hard.
Right.
Look at the magazines on the shelf at the store, look at any jeweler store, any store, they're like, get the next thing, get the next thing.
It's fed you everywhere.
Everywhere, no matter where you go.
Right.
So money and prestige is a huge one. The problem with it is that you suppress a large part of actually what is truly valuable for you, which is just your inner essence. Oftentimes if you ask somebody what makes you worthy or good enough, just what makes you good enough, they're like, well, reasonably, I'm this tall, or I'm this good at this thing, I'm smart in the military. But if you answer anything other than I'm good enough just the way I am, then you're missing out on an opportunity to just be yourself. But a lot of us have that issue. Like, what makes you worthy or good enough? Like, we're like, I don't know.
Right.
Just being you. That's all you need to think about. Okay. So this is kind of the when money and prestige come into it, it's like, do I have the competence? Am I good enough the way I am? Right. So that's one thing. People tend to pursue goals, and they do that in order to hide their wound, shield their wound. So if they're constantly striving for something, next thing, then money and prestige, it's like they cover it up, right? So what ends up happening though is it's later in the midlife crisis happens. You're like, wait, I've been doing this to get this. There's it's a heart wall or something. I forget if it's a heart wall and negative pattern recorder, but it's how I feel is not as important as what I desire.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say it a little slower.
Right.
How I feel is not as important as what I desire. People tend to set their emotions aside in order to get what they want. And it's really important to understand because people have these midlife crises, like, oh, I gotta go buy a sports car because I'm doing this and I'm not happy, or lost my manhood, or who am I? My kids are out of the house now, I'm not a mother anymore.
Right.
Like, what is it?
Yeah.
So people try to achieve something, then realize I've ignored all my feelings along the way, and
Right.
I'm left as a hollow human shell. So find a path that fulfills you and what you want to do, but you get money precision in the process. That's a great way to think about it. So you get what you want, but it can have the potential to leave you hollow. So you want to be mindful of that. So don't consider that if you're driven to get that prestige and that money, that might be hiding your wound, okay? Now, perfectionism is another shield we use. I may know a thing or two about it, having lived the last 42 years of my life.
No, what?
But I consider myself a recovered perfectionist, and it takes one to know one, so I have been one, and it's an interesting life. It's exhausting, as a matter of fact, trying to be perfect, trying to be everything to everybody, and I found that the more vulnerable I can be, the more just straight up, like, look, here's my wound,
Right.
it just liberates me. So for you, it might be, as a child, you are really good at sport, or you're good at spelling bee, or you're good at math, or science, or maybe you're playing an instrument you're really good at. That becomes your perfectionistic tendency, and you hold on to that because, like, look, this makes me worthy, this makes me special, this makes me
Right.
valuable enough to be loved. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, any of these shields are just trying to keep you from feeling less love, right?
Mhm.
You want to feel as much love as possible, so
Right.
we think that we use these shields to get as much as we want, but ultimately, what happens is we end up feeling more hollow because of it. So,
Like a false sense of purpose.
right, yeah, we try to go for the perfection, like the perfect outfit. Like I used to, I gotta iron this perfectly, or my shoes gotta be just they get a little smudge on them, chucking them, like things like that.
Okay.
When I had hair, it was like, oh my gosh, my hair. Like if I wear a hat, I'm like, oh, what do I do now, right? This is all the stuff I used to go through, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Everybody who's ever been a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist goes through this kind of thing. Like it's gotta be absolutely awesome, perfect, and ideal.
Right. Right.
It is literally exhausting. So we focus on the outward image, but really what we need to do if we're going to heal is focus on the inward image and just say, I'm good enough and I'm perfectly lovable just the way I am, right?
Yeah.
So that way, we're no longer worried about someone criticizing us. Have you ever seen 8 Mile? With,
Yeah.
yeah. So like one of the big rap-off scenes, whatever they call it, battle, sure. She got the straight number. One of the rap battles, he talks, he just basically starts saying everything that his opponent knows about
Sure.
and takes all the thunder, because that's kind of what the rap battles are. They just start tearing each other down based on what they think is the weakest link. So what he does, he just spits out all the stuff that he knows the other guy's going to try and use against him, and left the other person defenseless. So
Right.
what's cool is just identify, like, hey, I'm not perfect, and I'm okay with that. And people are going to be like,
Whoa.
what does that mean?
And
What do I
you're
do?
okay with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's why, I love Ellie being on here, because I can just be goofy as all get out, and I'm what's up here trying to be like,
Yeah.
just done roboto, and do the perfect thing.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Oh.
I've done it plenty in the past, but I can assure you, if you can get over this, when you get over this, if you need some help getting over this, let us know. It is life-changing, okay?
Yeah.
So, the shaming, of course, is another issue related to perfectionism. The shaming, negativity, so you shame yourself, like, oh, that wasn't good enough, you didn't perform that well enough, it's never good enough. Like, what if I fail a test? What if I don't win a race?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this earlier,
Yeah.
right? What's going to happen? Am I still going to be lovable? Once again, going back to that lovability. So you understand, like, perfectionism, it has these goals, but it ends up cheating you, because ultimately perfection is a fallacy. Like, it doesn't
Right.
exist, even though you see it all over the place, like airbrushed and photoshopped and this and that.
Yeah.
Right? Perfection is the enemy of the good, so said Voltaire. So perfection is the enemy of the good.
Mm-hmm.
Just be the best you can be. Be good and let it go and move on.
Another thing you say is don't should all over you.
Right, yeah, that's a Tony Robbins. I think it's Tony Robbins line.
Is it?
Don't should all over yourself. Should, like I should do this, I should do that, or I should have done this. Like
Right.
looking at the past and judging the past based on your current events.
Right.
It's
Just let it go. Yeah. Look at the future, not the past.
focus on your best effort. I do my best and I go to the next. Okay? So people who are perfectionists will do anything to maintain that image, that perfectionist image. Like, hey, and oftentimes they'll use negativity and or anger to protect that shield.
Right.
So they'll layer another one on top of it, which we'll get to in a second. Okay? What else? So interestingly enough, perfectionism is something that tends to be handed down. It's a learned behavior. It can actually construct a child's view of the world. Remember, up until the age of 7, you're basically an imprint of everything you've learned from your parents and grandparents and other adults in your life. So when you think about perfectionism, you think about you're setting the person up to think it's got to be exactly the way it is, and so you're basically creating a person for the first 7 years. And if you teach them that perfectionism is important, they're going to be obsessed with being perfect the rest of their life. So be mindful as a parent, all you parents out there, that doing their best is good enough, and just encourage them. Okay? What else? Okay? Good?
Good, great.
Perfectionism, it's a great one, but it's unattainable, it's not able to be reached, so I'm going to let it go and move on, okay? You want to appreciate that I'm perfectly acceptable, perfectly lovable just the way I am, and it's going to free you from that. We talked about anger a second ago as being a secondary shield for perfectionism. So when someone feels imperfect, they tend to get angry. They tend to get explosive, like, back off, right? So if you walk around on eggshells, like, let's say I'm like, oh, here, Vanilla, I'm walking on eggshells around, like, I don't want to get too close to her because she might get that explosiveness, and then I'm going to get this visceral reaction where my heart starts pounding, or I start sweating and things like that.
Okay.
What happens is the prickly person keeps people at arm's length, right? You never get too close because you don't know when their anger is going to explode. So we're participants on this all the time, right? They have siblings or family members, and you're like, one's dad or one's sis or one's brother gonna have their explosiveness. And
right.
That anger is really just their shield to keep you away from their wound, because they don't want you to see that they're feeling imperfect, or they're feeling insecure, or they're feeling uncertain about themselves. So you walk around on eggshells with these people. But just like perfectionism, anger is exhausting to keep up, because you have to mount a lot of energy in your body to add on to that anger and just fuel that. So it's really hard, because it's going to take away from all your relationships, because people aren't going to want to be close to you. People are going to think, oh man, they're a cool woman, but the next minute they're like freaking out. So how do I navigate those waters? Why would I want to be around that person? Things like that. So understand that if that's you, it's okay. Just understand that there's an opportunity to heal there. And if that's someone in your life, you can start appreciating, like, they're just trying to shield their wound. That's all it is. Okay? But be mindful that anger, just like perfectionism, can be handed down from child as an inherited stress, and can be a learned behavior, like a negative pattern, things like that. Okay? Now, bullying is very common. And anyone who's in education, or anyone who's ever interacted with a bully from an adult standpoint, watching the bully, you know that those kids, they've got the biggest problems at home. And they're just, they're hurting the most, right? So they have that inner load that it just, what they need to do is offload it on somebody else. So they pick on them, they kick them, they push them, they ridicule them, so that they feel better about themselves. They don't feel much better about themselves, but they do feel like, at least I'm not the lowest guy on the total pool.
It's like a temporary.
Yeah, it's a temporary high. You're like, that guy's, whatever. Yeah. And then they feel like crap later. So then what they do, they repeat it. It's like a drug. It's like getting a like on Facebook. You hit your dopamine center, and I was like, hey, I feel great for a second. Now I'm depressed. And nobody liked my stuff. Right? Yeah. Please like our stuff. I'm kidding. Insert joke here, right?
That was good. I wasn't expecting it.
Hey, no, I'm working on my material.
It's not promotional.
Okay. Good, sorry. But we talked about kids that are bullies have the biggest problems at home. They are the most unhappy. And when you can help your child understand that, they can have a different perspective on the bully that's affecting them. Like, we work with young people that we've literally taught them to sort of stifle the bully by just being like, stop it! And just, they don't have to be aggressive with the bully, but they literally just like be loud and sort of push them back with their energy. And then that bully's like,
oh, I don't want to do that again.
No, because as you'll learn about in a second, bullies target the people who try to be invisible, the people who are the quietest and people pleasers and stuff like that. Yeah, bullies look for them. It's just like the people who are the victim are the ones that are worried about being the victim. Because they walk around and they're like, I hope nobody does this. And that, if you've ever been a victim, please hear me loud and clear. It's an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for what my role was there. And obviously they were at that place at that time, and this happened, But if you give them power over you and say they were at fault for 100%, then you are a victim of them. 100% for sure.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you lost me for a second.
Sorry, whether it be bully or assault or anything like that.
Sure.
Take responsibility for the fact that you were there, or your role, or whatever it is, whatever it might have been, and just say, I forgive them for my sake, and I'm letting them go, and I'm moving on, so that I'm not a victim. Good?
Get your power back.
Get your power back, for sure. Power to people.
Right.
But these bullies, they're drowning in their own pain, right? They want to offload that pain to somebody else. And all they know how to do is probably watching their older siblings or their parents bully somebody else, and they basically push it off on somebody else. So one of the victims of bullies are people with invisibility and silence. Like they try to be quiet, they try to be invisible, they try to like fly under the radar.
Okay.
Because they don't want to be noticed. They want to dress plainly, they're very quiet. You might see them, their posture a little bit lower, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they don't make a lot of eye contact and things like that. That's okay. If that's you, that's not a problem. But understand, you're diminishing your light, and you're not giving other people permission to shine their own light. So be proud of your light, be excited about your light, and shine your light so other people can have permission to do that for themselves. But people who are looking at invisibility and silence, what they're dealing with is they don't want the attention. They don't want to be in the spotlight. And that's their shield. Like, if I never noticed, I can never do anything wrong. If I never notice, they won't notice that I'm imperfect. Okay? Or if I don't notice me, they won't notice that I don't have the money procedure, whatever it is, right? All these different things. But they censor their remarks, they try to avoid drawing attention to themselves and things like that. But they're depriving the world, like we talked about, from seeing their light.
Right.
So by you diminishing your light, and you've heard the This Light of Mine song? This Light of Mine.
Oh, yeah.
Like you covered up.
Right.
But you want to raise it high and shine it bright so people can see it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh wow, they have the courage to shine their light, to be strong and take their shield off.
Right.
So I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
So
They can feel their light and their power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can live the life of their dream.
Yes.
Right. Part of our affirmation.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. But you're going to suppress your gifts if you're trying to be the silent type. Okay. It's not actually a shield. It's really going to draw more attention to you. People think it's like a camouflage, but the camouflage is really, the thing is the clothing or the posture, the lack of noise and things like that. But actually, making you still exposed and vulnerable to these things. So it's not actually serving you any purpose by trying to be that invisible and that camouflage person. It actually, for the bully, it acts like a billboard. Like, they're like, hey, Ellie,
Right.
that one over there.
Right.
Let's go,
Like the weakest in the herd.
let's go through spitwads on them and kick them and knock them down and throw them in lockers. And that's that's what they did in grade school, and high school, and my school. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
she's like, oh
Oh my gosh.
you didn't have that in your school? Well, we did that all the time. Well, not to you necessarily.
Well, I didn't see that. I was in program.
Okay. It happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do know that.
There's hazing all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
It does happen.
All right.
You've probably seen it on your local sitcom.
Right.
But anyway.
Right, like
So-
lunch break. Bam.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
One person will walk away and they try to do the next kid, then they get in a fight. And whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So, people pleasing really is the next one, okay? Because the visibility and silence is one thing, but people pleasing is another. Like, I am going to be everything to everybody. And because of everything to everybody, everybody's going to love me. Right?
I haven't ever tried that for the record. Never.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Sure, just checking in.
Just checking.
But it's often paired with that visibility and that silence,
Okay,
right?
that's interesting.
For sure, because they try to be everything to everybody, and they try to fly under the radar, and like, if I'm like that everybody, I don't have to worry about everybody knowing that they have this wound
Okay,
that then they can't touch.
sure.
So people pleasing is a shield.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, so once you put the pieces together, you'll have a better understanding.
Yeah.
And you may want to watch this over again because it's going to help you understand, like, oh, where am I? Because you
Right.
might have one or multiple of these
Right.
that are going to be sort of for you or related to you, and
Okay.
then you can start healing the process. Because, if you try to make everybody happy, guess who's left unhappy?
You're number one.
Number one, right?
Yeah.
So if you try to fill everybody else's cup from your empty cup,
Right.
it doesn't work so well.
No.
So, generally speaking, with these wounds, with these shields, right? Whether you're soothing your shield or holding your shield strong and kicking back and stuff like that, you want to make sure you understand there's things you can do, right? So, try to optimize your skills. Try to optimize your talents so you feel most confident, so you don't have to shield any vulnerability. The other one is to be okay with it and just say, hey, you know what? This is my opportunity, my greatest opportunity for
Right.
healing and growth.
Yeah.
This is my wound, shall we say, and it's your greatest gift to the world because other
Right.
people can feel your experience and learn from your experience and
Mhm.
grow from it,
Right.
rather than them seeing you like, oh, look, they're hiding your shield. I should probably hide mine too.
Right.
Okay, it's a big,
Right.
big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to identify your shield. So watch this through, identify your shield, and then figure out where did you learn it from. Okay, it's really important to understand who did we learn these shields from. Because these children, remember, children like getting an iPod or an iPhone without any programs on there. It doesn't work.
Oh, right.
So a kid's
Yeah.
brain
Right.
doesn't have any programs on it when it's born.
Right.
So that's why we as adults start adding programs to it, and they start navigating their world based on our programming.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous, but it's also a huge opportunity.
Right.
So we can have super empowered, confident kids, and we have super insecure or unconfident or time human shy, things like that,
Right.
taking that to be perfect, and like that.
Okay.
So we should be very mindful as adults, as parents, of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wait till that gets as long as you can, so you learn more about yourself and heal more your wounds and your shields and stuff like that.
Cool.
But identifying it frees you to sort of heal that inner child and heal that inner wound and not have to carry a shield anymore. So just to recap the forms of shielding, there's money and prestige, right? You have the perfectionism, you have the anger, you have the silence and invisibility.
Here we go.
Fast.
Yep.
And then you have people pleasing. Those are the 5 shields, 6 shields. 6 shields.
Yep.
Okay? Anyway, watch them again. Prestige and money, perfectionism, anger, bullying, the silent and invisible,
Yes.
and then people pleasing.
Yes.
Very cool. So what we say in QNRT is we want to find it, own it, feel it, reset it, and forget it.
Yeah.
So with QNRT is one technique you could use to find these wounds, heal the wounds, so then you can take your shield off and live your life without trying to hide behind something like that.
Right.
I mean, every day I try to confront something that I feel is a limiting belief, or a limiting relationship, or something's holding back. It's
Okay.
like, here's my opportunity. So it's like if the hurricane's blowing, you just gotta lean into that sucker,
Right.
keep going into it rather than be like, ah,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
I'll deal with it.
Right.
Right? Okay. But find your bliss. Find your true gift to the world. Find that and help heal it. So your deepest wound is your greatest gift to the world. And if you're willing to look at it, you're willing to expose it, it will liberate you rather than make you feel worse, right? It's kind of a misconception.
Right.
People think they gotta hide it, but as soon as you
It
let
feels
shine,
so good, yeah, and it's scary to confront it
For
because
sure.
that's the pattern that you're breaking, that you were taught to please everyone or just be invisible.
and your brain wants to keep you safe.
Right, keep doing that.
Laying your shield down and exposing your tender, vulnerable underbelly,
Right.
your wound,
Right.
it's going to be scary for your nervous system. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Share your greatest gift with the world and help them because you want to move from fear to love.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sound good? So let us know what you took away from this. If you have any comments about what was your greatest takeaway, you don't just have to share your shield, but you can if you want.
Yeah.
And then, if you really want to be daring, say what my shield is and what I'm going to do about letting go of my shield. And what you think your greatest gift is. That would
Right.
be like, woo, yeah, you're
Yeah.
stepping into it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just 2 feet,
Right.
Right.
Jump right in.
jumping right in.
Yeah.
If you found this valuable, share it with your friends and family so that they can help themselves decrease their wounds, right?
Right.
Heal their wounds, drop the shield, stop the fallacy of I'm perfect, I'm all good and bling, I'm silent type, whatever
Right.
it is, right? Whatever yours is or theirs is, and stuff like that. Let us know, like, are you enjoying these segments?
Yeah.
Let us know how we can improve it.
Mm-hmm.
We like constructive criticism.
Absolutely.
Any opportunity to help you folks better, serve you better is our goal and our mission. So tune in Friday, not this Friday, but we're starting to
Most Fridays.
we're going Friday Freestyle Friday. So it's going to be all about just answering questions on the fly, answering your questions that you send in, things like that, and making stuff up as we go based on tangents. I mean, I go off on tangents all the time. So Gracia is great about typing up the explanation
Right.
and sending it out to everybody in posts and stuff like that. But
That sounds good.
for sure.
Thank you, Grisha.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rein it in.
Right in.
But really just, hug your loved ones and let them know that they're loved unconditionally and that no matter what they do, I try to remind my daughter, Sophia, every day, like, there's nothing she can do that's ever going to make me not love her.
Right.
Right? So that is absolutely profound when you can help a child understand that. So with that, we're going to sign off for this week's Wednesday Wellness Minutes. We hope this has been beneficial. We appreciate your opportunity for us to serve you
Yeah.
and the opportunity to provide you with perspective. I'm appreciative for Artie Wu and other people that I've studied from them and understand myself better, just one step closer to nirvana and just that equanimous state of just observing the world around you and understanding you're one with it and you're intertwined, you're intermingled.
Inner Twinkle's another new one
What
this week.
did I say the other day?
Miraculous and remarkable.
Remaculous. Yeah, I made a word called remaculous.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. But anyway, we will sign off for now. Thank you. Much love to all of you, and have a great night. All right.
Have a good night. Call us with any questions.
All right, sweet.
Bye.